All right, so hi everyone. Good morning and good evening. I'm not sure from which everyone joined, from which region they joined. All right. Okay, so let's start now. So basically in today's webinar that we'll talk about SAP Ariba. So we'll discuss what is SAP Ariba and what is it basically the requirement of SAP Ariba and what is the main purpose of SAP Ariba. So even though that SAP is playing very well in the market and most of the customer who is already using SAP ECC or S4HANA, so they are very happy, but still what is that need and why that SAP they came up with the SAP Ariba. So that's something we'll talk about in today's webinar, and we'll also talk about whatever the solutions that Ariba is offering and how those solutions are relevant to that customer. So that's something we'll see, and we'll see the different components of the Ariba. So in the Ariba we have the two component, that is upstream and downstream, and we'll talk about in the details what is upstream and what is downstream, and we'll see some integrated part as well. So some of the customer who is already using SAP ECC or SAP HANA as well. So in that case, whenever they are adopting this SAP Ariba, so they would like to perform, they would like to integrated system with SAP ECC and Ariba as well. So we'll also see about this integrated scenario. So we'll discuss it high level, and we'll also discuss some high level implementation methodology. That's something how we have to implement that SAP Ariba for a customer. And if time will permit, I will show the system as well. So I will log in the system and will show you some like Ariba dashboard, how it looks like, and whatever the options are available in the Ariba system. That's something we will see in today webinar. All right. So now moving to the first topic. So basically, first of all, like we have to understand what is SAP Ariba. So SAP Ariba is the completely procurement solution. So for any company like who is buying any product, so to just to maintain their business, so to, from the Ariba side, they have provided this complete procurement solution on the cloud basis. So it is completely on cloud basis, and whatever the procurement activity that is required from the customer side. So for example, or we can take one quick example. So let's say that we have to buy few laptop. So that laptop we required for the office purpose. So let's assume that laptop we have never purchased from any of the supplier. So in that case, whatever the activity that something our purchasing team will do. So in the first, they will try to find out some supplier. Say they will search the supplier and they will discuss with them either they can supply that laptop or that product to us or not. So if the supplier will be agree, yes, they will say like yes, they're offering, they can supply that laptop to the customer. So in that case, in the next step, what customer has to do, customer has to onboard that supplier in their database, because that supplier is something new and that is not available in the customer database, and they have to like uh, create, or they have to onboard that supplier on their database. So once the supplier will be available, then the negotiation part will come in the picture. So negotiation means, the quotation process. So what customer will do, customer will send that request for the quotation to the multiple supplier, and just asking them kindly provide that some best price. I would like to purchase this material. So whatever best price, that's something you can give. So like once they will receive that quotation from different supplier, then they have to evaluate that quotation just to find out a single supplier. So they will try to find out the supplier based upon some different criteria. So some of the customer they will find out based upon that lowest price or best price. Some of the customer they will have some different criteria better service or best customer service. So different it depends on the different criteria, and they have to select a supplier. And once they'll find out the supplier, so they have to execute their purchasing activity, and they have to process with their purchase requisition, purchase order, and that receiving, invoicing, payment. So these are the overall that high level procurement activity. So same way, Ariba is also providing this all the procurement solutions to the customer, and it is completely on-demand solutions. So in that case, there is no that the customer no need to install any software, no need to install any hardware. So only they require like internet connectivity, and they can like start working on the Ariba with the help of the browser. So it is completely that is on-demand solution. And if you compare this SAP Ariba with our back like a SAP system, so it is quite similar with the SRM and MM. So whatever things that the customer they are doing in the SRM, if they already have, or whatever that activity they are doing in the SAP MM, if they already have, same thing they also have to do in the SAP Ariba as well, with like maximum simplification. So in Ariba, basically that we have that maximum process are simplified. So they have to perform like the same activity, but in the simplified like environment. Okay. So now in the next, we'll try to find out what is the need of Ariba. So even like SAP is not the new product. It is like it is available in the market like since around like like long year time, and most of the customer who is using SAP, they are also happy with that. So either they are using some particular SAP module like SAP MM, SAP SD, SAP SRM, whatever. So they are happy with that. So what is the need of the two SAP? Like why they have came up with the SAP Ariba product? So basically, Ariba, just remember, Ariba is not the new product. Ariba is the very old product, and even Ariba is a separate entity itself. So Ariba was founded in the 1996, and that time Ariba was also offering the same thing, same procurement solutions as well. But the thing was that that time they were offering only on-premise solution. So that time that on-demand solutions was not in the market, and they were only offering on-premise solution. So as like this going on, so that Ariba they realize that since customer is looking some faster service, and they are looking that online activity as well, so they realize that they have to like introduce some different product as like on behalf of the on-premise. So in 2010 that that Ariba they have introduced that cloud product of the same thing. So same procurement solutions that was also available in 2010 by the Ariba. And in 2012, so since SAP was also in the same page, and they were also trying to like that introduce something the same product with the name of the SAP. So SAP company they acquired the Ariba in the 2012, and they reformed this as a SAP Ariba. So in 2012 they acquired, and after acquiring they made lots of changes in the Ariba product. So first of all, what they did, they just like stopped the services of the on-premise solution, and they just circulated that notification to all the customer who are using that on-premise solution that the SAP is not going to support to that on-premise solution, and the customer who is already using or is still using this on-premise solution, they have to migrate to the cloud. And apart from this like changes, so they also done lots of changes in the product as well. So that time like even though Ariba was offering different product but with different platform, so what SAP did, SAP just clubbed all the products on the single platform. And that means like whatever that like solutions that customer required, for example supplier or sourcing or contract, so that was available in the different portfolio, but now it is like available on the single platform. Okay. And even like if you see from the process point of view, so we have lots of changes from the process point of view. That's something we'll discuss in few minutes. Okay. So like so we were talking about what is the requirement like like why SAP has introduced this Ariba. So let's take one quick example. So like nowadays how is the customer requirement? It is completely like was different in the past. So if you just go like just beyond like before 2 to 3 years or 4 to 5 years, so that time whatever the customer they have like offering, so nowadays they are not offering the same thing. So nowadays every customer they would like that faster speed, they would like the better transparency or 100% transparency, they would like to control the delivery as well. That means the customer is looking not the larger cycle time, they are looking very fast cycle time so that they can perform that their activity in a single click. All right. So in overall, we can say now the customer, they are every customer, they would like to add their flavor in each and every product. So whatever the products are available in the standard, so they are not happy with the standard, and they want to add their flavor in each and every product. So, or let me give you one more example. So just to the same example, so just to go before like 4 to 5 years ago, so that time like whenever we have to place any order on some e-commerce site, so how we were placing the order that time, so we are not placing now as well. So it's completely changed. Even that time when we were placing the order, so that time we were not deciding like when the delivery will meet and how the delivery will come. Even we do not have any options to monitor that track as well. That shipment also we were not able to track as well, because that time this technology was not completely developed and we have lots of limitations in the process as well. But if you see nowadays, so nowadays that if you want one day delivery, that some suppliers are ready, they are providing you one day delivery. And even like if you want to track your shipment, you can easily track. And even like when the delivery like you would like to meet, you can decide when like when you would like to take the delivery. So that means overall now the customer is completely focused nowadays, and every customer would like to add their flavor, add like work on the online. No one would like to sit in front of the system itself. That is why that SAP has realized like if they will go with the same products, so definitely in coming days, like the customer they will look something different. So that is why they have like just acquired this Ariba and they just reform as the SAP Ariba. All right. So basically in SAP Ariba that we have two component. First one is that upstream. So basically upstream is the part of the SAP Ariba, and second one is the downstream. All right. So whatever the components are available, upstream and downstream. So basically, this is not a particular module, and I would say this is the like a bundle of that like module. So inside the upstream or inside the downstream, we have some particular module. So if you talk about this upstream, so in upstream we have three main module that is called as the supplier, sourcing, and contract. Same way, if you come in the downstream, so we have that module that is procurement, and this procurement is also called as that Ariba buying and invoicing. And the other module is that catalog. So these are the like solutions that is available in the upstream and downstream. So in at high level in the upstream we have three solutions, that is supplier, sourcing, and contract. And in downstream we have the two solutions, that is procurement module, procurement solution, and it is also known as the Ariba buying and invoicing and the catalog. Okay, so now what we'll do, we will take one quick example and we'll try to map these solutions with the business process. So we'll try to see are these solutions are relevant to that customer business process or not. So before going ahead, let me take one quick pause, and if anyone have any questions, please raise your question.
I'm good, Vikram. You can proceed.
All right, okay, thank you. All right. So let's say that you have for that like office purchase you have to buy some product. So let's say you have to buy this raw material. Just for example, and this raw material and you required that is something quantity. Let's say that you can take any quantity. Let's say 50 kg. Okay, so let's assume that from the buying organization side that we have received this requirement from that like our business user and they would like to buy this product. And let's assume that these products we have never buy and we don't know like which supplier will supply, that is something different like requirement itself. So we are not aware about the supplier, we are not aware about the prices as well. So in that case what we have to do from the customer side, so in that case in the first activity we have to perform, that is searching of supplier. right? So either we can search the supplier online, or we can search the supplier as the offline as well, and we can ask them, we have to ask them either they will able to supply this product to us or not. So whatever that in which locations we are, that's something we have to discuss with them, and we have to ask them like either delivery will be meet or not. So if supplier is saying yes, delivery will be meet, like they can supply the product to our location to us. So in that case, in the next step, what we have to do, in the next step, we have to onboard the supplier. So I would say onboarding of supplier. Onboarding of the supplier in the sense, since that supplier is something new, and whatever the database that customer is using, so this supplier will not be available in the customer database. So whenever that we have to raise any purchasing document or any kind of like transactional activity, so in that case it is in mandatory that we should have the supplier record in the customer database. So that means we have to create the supplier record in the customer database just to make sure the supplier is available in our database. So that is your onboarding of the supplier part. So in the next step, we have to perform the onboarding of supplier. And once the onboarding will be done, then in the next we have to initiate the supplier like negotiation. Supply negotiation is nothing, that means the tendering process. So same way like how we are doing this local quotation process, that means we have to send that request for quotation to the multiple supplier, and we have to ask them like kindly provide your like that best price. So based upon this our requirement, so whatever the best price, that's something they can offer, they have to provide to you. So once they will provide you this like the quotation, so in the next from the buyer side, we have to evaluate that quotation part. So let me tell here, evaluation, right? That means we have to compare all the quotations just to find out like which is the best supplier who is offering the best price. So, like, let's assume that during like evaluation of the quotation, we find out a supplier, and we are agree to start the purchasing with the supplier. So basically, directly we cannot like initiate the purchasing activity. Before that, like whatever things, that's something we have discussed with that particular supplier, like that supplier who provided the best price to us. So whatever things that we discussed, that's something we have to keep in the documented part in the document. So like in that case, like what we have to do, we have to sign off a legal agreement. So that means we have to sign off a contract here, right? And after signing of the contract, in the next, like since contract is ready now, so in the next we have to utilize the contract. So utilization of the contract is nothing, that means like your purchasing activity. So in the next we have to create that PR with reference to contract. And in the next, like your P2P cycle will come, that means we have to convert in the PO, that is purchase order. We have to next perform the receiving, and in the last we have to perform this invoicing part. Okay, that means invoicing means like we have done this, we have to do the payment as well. So we have to like end with our payment part. So that's something if you see at high level. So these are the activity, that's something a customer has to perform whenever they have to buy the product. So even though it's not necessary in all the cases, they have to follow all the process. So in certain cases, if they already have the supplier, so in their case, they have to only like initiate the purchasing activity, so they can only like start from the purchase create the PR part. So from here only they can initiate their purchasing activity. So just trying to say, like just map here, like what we'll do, we'll try to map this business process with the Ariba offering. So if you see the first process, that is searching of supplier and onboarding of supplier, that's something in this process, what we are doing, we are just managing the supplier in the customer database. So how we have to manage? So for that, Ariba is offering the supplier module, supplier solutions. With the help of the supplier solutions, we can manage the supplier. That means we can create supplier record in the Ariba. We can initiate the supplier registration as well. I will come back on the supplier registration part. And next, if you required, we have, if you want to like mark any of the supplier as a regular supplier or fixed supplier, that means supplier qualification or preferred supplier, those kind of activity we can do with the help of the supplier solutions. Okay. And in the next, if you go here in the supplier negotiation part, that is the next process. So for supplier negotiation and like quotation evaluation, that's something for that Ariba has given this sourcing module. So basically, sourcing is like like a very extensive module to perform the sourcing activity. So with the help of sourcing module, that customer they can initiate that negotiation activity with the supplier. They can discuss with the supplier and like online, and they can create different type of event. So basically Ariba is offering some different kind of event like a request for information, a request for proposal, auctions, reverse forward auctions. So they can like the customer they can create like any type of event based upon their needs, and they can like invite that particular supplier just to participate in the sourcing event. So that all the negotiation activity, that's something the customer they can perform in the sourcing module. All right. And the next is that signing of a contract. That's something here we have to sign up the legal agreement with the supplier based upon the discussion. So for that, the Ariba is offering this contract module. So with the help of the contract module, we can simply sign off a contract with the supplier. And if you see that next process, that is something like completely P2P process. So creating the purchase acquisition with reference to contract, purchase order, receiving, invoicing, and payment. So this process step, Ariba is given this solutions, that is procurement solution or Ariba buying and invoicing solution along with the catalog. So catalog is nothing. Catalog is just something like that as a product like that material master or the product. That's something the customer they have the flexibility. They can configure the product in the Ariba like in the Ariba catalog module just to like label that particular product in the, for the user. Okay. So at high level, we can say that Ariba is offering this complete process solutions as per the business need. Okay, but one thing we have to remember here. So let me also note one thing. So if you see from the purchasing point of view, so their customer are performing two kind of purchasing, right? One purchasing is that direct material, right? That means we can say stock. Second purchasing, we have indirect. That means we can say consumables, right? So whatever that solutions that we were discussing, these solutions is only support that is your that indirect material. So whatever consumables purchasing that customer is doing, that's something consumable, we can say consumables or non-stock, whatever. So this Ariba solutions is supporting like this solutions what we discussed earlier. This is supporting only for the consumables items. Okay, so whatever the non-stock item, that's something customer has to purchase, they can utilize this Ariba solutions, that is called as the S2P solutions as well. S2P in the sense basically S2P solutions, that means like source to pay solution, that is like a S2P, source to pay. So this S2P solutions is offering only that purchasing solutions with the indirect purchasing. That means whenever the customer they have to buy any non-stock procurement, non-stock material, in that case they have to use this S2P process. So basically not that complete S2P process. So inside this S2P process, whatever the procurement module are available, this procurement module only supporting this indirect material. But if the customer they have the requirement to perform this purchasing activity for that stock material with the help of the Ariba, so in that case Ariba has given that separate module, and that is called as that SCC. SCC basically is stand for the supply chain collaboration. So this SEC only, it is like handling, it is managing this all the that material like purchasing. So in case if the customer they have the requirement to like perform that material purchasing, so they have to go with the SEC. So basically SEC is the separate product. And in case if the customer they have the requirement of budget implementation module. In that case, this like S2P solutions is suitable to them. So S2P solution is suitable to them. So even not only S2P, in that S2P, I mean the procurement module only, but apart from that, like let's assume if the customer they would like to perform all the like direct material purchasing, and along with this, they would also like to use this sourcing and contract module or supplier module in the Ariba. So they can also subscribe this like product as well, and they can use that complete upstream part, or they can use like this SEC part as well. All right. All right. Okay. Now let me tell you one more thing. So that is something a little bit important as well. So basically, whenever that business activity is happening in the SAP Ariba, so that is something like two-way business, that something is happening in the Ariba. So one way we'll have this Ariba buyer, and second way we'll have the Ariba supplier. That means one side we will have the buyer entity, that's in something buying organization, and the second way we will have the Ariba supplier, that's something supplier who will sell the product. So since like they have to start that business on the Ariba network, so the Ariba is offering that separate platform to start the business with between their buyer and supplier. So in between of that Ariba and buyer, we will have that platform as well, that is called as the Ariba network. Okay, so that's something like whenever that buyer side or whenever that any supplier side they would like to start any business activity, so they have to come on the Ariba network. They have to perform that account creation. They have to create their accounts, their login credential. Then only they will able to connect on the Ariba network. So basically, from supplier side, the Ariba Network platform is totally like free of cost. So if any of the supplier, even though if they have some reference from the buyer side, but I mean that buying organization side, or they do not have any reference, and they want to just be available on the Ariba network, so they can directly come on the Ariba network and they can create their account. So basically, it at initial level it is free of cost with some limitation. So if the supplier they would like to clear their account as a free of cost, they can create their account. But Ariba is also offering some other like features as well to supplier, and if supplier they would like to use that feature, in that case they have to pay some charges to the Ariba. But from customer side, that means buying organization side, so that they buying the buying organization, they do not have to perform like any account creation part. So that customer, whenever they will purchase any of the particular products of the Ariba, so in that case the Ariba company they will provide that two credential to the customer. So one credential will be this Ariba solutions, and the second credential will be of the this Ariba network. So that's something from the customer side. They do not have to initiate any account creation on the Ariba Network platform. All right. So this is something just we talked about, and this is something earlier we discussed on this notepad that Ariba is offering this upstream and downstream solutions, and that is available like for the customer. Now let's have a quick comparison between the different products. So in this slide, just I have added this SAP Ariba products and product, and we have S4HANA, SAP SRM, and SAP MM as well. So if you see in the SAP Ariba, so SAP Ariba is a completely cloud-based solution, as I said. So there's no like options of the on-premise solutions, and it that Ariba is offering that mostly that standard out-of-box content. That's something like even though say that that like Ariba is not become the product of the SAP, but that something is will not be available in the your core component, and it is completely out of the box. And if any of the customer they would like to subscribe, they can subscribe to use this SAP Ariba. And it is very easy to use as well. So easy to use means like let me give one quick example. So let me give you two example. So let's say if we have to create a purchase requisition in our backend SAP system. So to create the requisition that in the backend SAP system, it may take around 4 to 5 minutes. And why it will take around 4 to 5 minutes? So I'm not saying like if the 4 to 5 minutes is the average time, so average cycle time, that something depends on that like a person as well. Just I'm taking one like a like hypothetical example. So why that it will take around 4 to 5 minutes? Because whenever the user will try to create the requisition in an SAP system, so that time we have the lots of fields there. A number of fields and a number of tabs are available in the our SAP ECC or in HANA as well. So that time the user may get some confusion like which fields they have to like enter the value and which fields they can leave as the blank. So they have lots of confusion. And even like if you try to fill the information in that relevant field in that particular field, so in that case also they have to navigate the different tab just to find out the particular field, right? So might be like if the user is like already like expertise, so he may create that equation successfully. But if there is any new user, so definitely he will face challenges and he required some help from the some like other team member. So same way, if we will ask to that particular person like, hey, can you please perform some purchasing on some e-commercial site? So for example, we can take the example of eBay, Alibaba, Amazon. So if you will ask him, can you please perform that purchasing for me? I would like to purchase this product. So there he will not face like any challenges because that those solutions, those platforms, they are completely user friendly, and they are even like providing the guidance as well, like what the user they have to perform to make their purchasing. That means at high level they have to just like open that particular application or web browser, and they have to search that particular product, and once they will find out that required product, so they have to simply add to cart, proceed to checkout. That's it. So same way, Ariba Procurement Solution is offering the same thing. So in SAP Ariba Procurement Solutions, whenever we have to raise a purchase requisition, same way we have to go there in that catalog part. We have to simply search the particular product, add to cart, proceed to checkout. That's it. So very minimal information that we have to specify while creating the requisition in the SAP Ariba. So even not only in the requisition part, even apart from the requisition, so in other solutions as well, that screen or the solutions are totally user friendly. Okay, so that is why it is very easy to use as compared to that other solutions. And even that Ariba is offering one single platform. So in Ariba, we'll have the only one single platform where we can like utilize, we can perform all the activity based on the needs. All the activity in the sense from the procurement point of view, whatever activity that's something required, we can perform on a single platform. But if you see the same point in the other SAP component as well, so for example, in the second block, we can see we have the S/4HANA. So this S/4HANA is offering the two type of like solutions, that is cloud and on-premise, and basically it is also offering so procurement process as well. So just I have like just added this procurement part only. So apart from the procurement solutions, other solutions are also available in the S/4HANA. And even in S/4HANA, we have the Fury app as well. So the Fury app, like it's also the simplified like version of that, like the transactions of the like in ECC. But still, if you just compare with this Fury app, like with the SAP Ariba, so it is easy to use, but not as like user friendly. And same way, like in S/4HANA also, we have the platform like in-memory platform, that is HANA platform, that is SAP is offering in S/4HANA. And if you just compare in the SAP SRM and SAP MM, so basically for SAP SRM and SAP MM, so as you know that SAP has already like circulated the information to customer that they are not going to support like this SRM and this SAP MM. And in certain case, if the customer they would like to continue, so they will not receive any further releases, further like upgradation. And if they have the choice, so if they want to upgrade, so they can like migrate. So either SAP Ariba or in or S4 HANA as well. So the customer who is already using SAP SRM, so they have to migrate to SAP Ariba, and the customer who is on SAP MM ECC, so in their case, they have to migrate to the SAP S4 HANA. Okay, so basically this is something just like as a quick comparison between that popular products from the procurement point of view. All right, this is very important. So whenever that we have to discuss with our customer. So let's assume that we have received that some like query from our customer, and we are going to provide some demo, or we will have some discussion with the customer about the Ariba product. So when we'll talk about with the customer, so the sum of the very normal question, or I would say like is a layman questions every customer will ask. So what customer will ask to us whatever what are the products that we are going to deliver to customer. This is first question. And what are the benefits that they will receive if they will go with this particular product, and why they have to utilize this product. So whatever that same thing, like whatever the benefits that they will receive, and what is the solutions, that's something they will ask. So even though like we are that as a functional consultant, but still it is very essential to understand about the system, that what system that we are going to deliver to our customer, so that based upon that only we can find out that whatever the benefits that customer will receive. So if you see in the SAP Ariba, so SAP Ariba is a completely Java database, and it has that four block. So here we can see we have the four block. So in the right hand side, that first like block is the client browser. So what is happening like it's completely on demand. So whenever that any user, either from the buyer side or from the supplier side, so whenever they have to use this Ariba application, so they are just simply just providing that URL and the credentials with the help of the browser. And after providing this information, so those information is linking or reaching to the web server. So that web server is interlinked with the client browser. So basically web server is responsible to deliver that required contents, deliver that required image, or whatever the information that something that user would like to see in their dashboard, that something is taken care by the web server. So once that user, they will execute this Ariba URL, Ariba information. So on the browser, so system will touch this web server point, and this web server point basically it is interlinked, it is linked to the application server. So if you see in the third block, so we have the application server. So basically this is the database design of the SAP Ariba. So in the application server we have the basically object model, and in the object model we'll have the multiple object. So for example, we can say report manager, SAP Ariba file channel, SAP Ariba web service channel, persistence manager, SAP Ariba CXML channel. And apart from this, a number of objects are available in the object model. So basically those particular object is just linked with that this database server. So whenever that any person, any user, they would like to see any information, or they would like to save any information, that's something. So they have to enter those information on that browser, and with the help of the browser that information will come to the application server in the object model. So in the object model, system will check which particular object models, that's something they have to allocate that task. So let's say for example report manager. So let's assume that the customer, they would like to see that some report for a particular duration. So in that case, system will allocate that task to the report manager, and the report manager it will go it will pass the information to the persistence manager. So basically persistence manager is the very important the tool in that this Ariba landscape. So the purchase manager is mainly checking all the information, or whatever information is coming as the inbound or as the outbound. So it will filter out all the information. It will check all the credentials like user ID and password, URL, and that information. So based upon that, refining the data only, that purchase manager will either retrieve that information to the database, or it will save that information to the database. And basically in the SAP Ariba, this is the major limitation. So in SAP Ariba, remember, we will never have any chance to look in the database table. So table option itself, that is not available for the customer in the SAP Ariba. So due to this will not able to perform any kind of development. So if you require to any make some changes against any standard process, so in that case will not be able to perform, and we have to reach to the SAP Ariba team. Okay. And even this object model is also integrated with a different like some other options as well. So if you see in the fourth column, so in the fourth block we have the external system. So Ariba is also offering that tight integration with the any of that system. So even if the customer they have that SAP system in the backend, or if they have the non SAP system, so we have the flexibility, we can simply integrate with the SAP Ariba solutions. So this is that like that strong integration like nature is available in the Ariba. So for any of the system that you want to integrate, we can simply integrate with the SAP Ariba solutions. Okay, all right, all right. So okay, so in the next we'll talk about some like major business concern. So to understand this major business concern, let me give you one quick example. So like nowadays, everything is on internet. I mean that IoT things era is going on. So everything that we are doing on the internet. So even like we are starting our day from internet, and we are stopping our day in like with the internet as well. So, for example, like let's say nowadays, whenever we have to perform any like a personal like activity, so let's say banking activity, if you require to perform any transaction, so whenever we are like we are working on over the internet, so we are thinking twice either it is safe or not, because that is completely internet. So even we do not have any control, either some of the like incorrect link that may like that may break your security, and your personal data that may leak, right? So same way, like we are thinking twice, either we have to click on that particular URL or not, either we have to provide that information on this like internet or not, either it is safe or not. So we'll have lots of questions. So same way, the customer, they also have this question. So since Ariba is completely cloud solution, so either their customer, like their information is secure on the Ariba or not. So because it is totally on the internet, so chances are there that might be their data, that data may leak. So it will create a huge impact. So just to like on this point, so Ariba is promising to customer that from data point of view, that customer they do not have to worry that, and their data is completely secured on the Ariba platform. Okay, how it is secured, and even why it is secured. So even Ariba is the cloud-based solution, so the solutions are the cloud-based, but whatever that subscription, whatever the database that customer will subscribe, that database will be the customer specific. So that's something the other customer, even they will also subscribe the same solutions, they will not be able to see that other customer information because their database is the same. So Ariba, SAP Ariba, they are allocating the particular database to the customer. So the only the thing is that the solutions that the solutions are the cloud. So but database is the customer specific. Okay. So with the help of this diagram, we'll talk about this like internet security by the Ariba perspective. So here we can see that we have in the first that like in the left hand side we have that like first that block that is internet and sorry internet. So with the help of the internet, the buyer and the supplier, they have to initiate like that activity. So like whatever information they would like to see, whatever transactions they would like to perform. So they have to provide the information like on the browser. So when they will provide the information, so that information will reach to the first security wall, and this first security wall will verify all the information. So it will check the correct credential, it will check the correct URL, so it will verify all the information. So that means like it will validate all the information. So once that first security wall will give that green signal to that like a system that data is working like looks fine, so then only the information will pass to the web load server. So basically, that Ariba has given that in the Ariba landscape, the different web load server just to reduce that data load on the database. I mean on the system. So like once the information will cross this like first security wall, that based upon this like a particular web server availability, system will automatically allocate that particular task to that like available web server. And again, when the web server will again pass the information, then same way the second security wall will come in the picture. And second security firewall will again just refine the data based upon the validation like credential validation, user ID validation, authorization validation. So all those information system like the second security wall will verify. Same way, once the second security wall will confirm that things are looks fine, then only again the information will go to the different redundant application server. And from here, once it will again cross, so it will again reach to the third security wall, and third security wall again perform the cross checking from this data security point of view. So only if the third security wall only if provide the confirmation, then only the information will reach to the database server. Otherwise, otherwise system will also like give the error to the like user. So that means we can say like here that means we can say like a system is performing this complete like checkup on this system or data just to make sure customer data is completely secure. All right, so these are the solutions. That's something already we discussed. So like that is if you see from the procurement point of view, so these are the activity. That's something we have to perform. So in the first we have to perform like we have to analyze that our like spend. We have to find out that scope like for which product, for which material that the customer they do not have the contract, or for which material they are purchasing in the bulk quantity or high volume. So accordingly they will plan to either they have to go with the another contract or they have to go some negotiation activity. So like this they have to initiate their process and they have to end up with the payment. That's something already we discussed in our notepad. So let me again move to the next. And now we'll talk about this Ariba like a solution. So in the first that Ariba app stream that is source to cost. So basically in the app stream that will have the solutions that is like SAP Ariba Training that is part of the supplier solution. So this supplier solutions is offering that different process to the customer. That customer can like perform that supplier onboarding in their database. So with the help of supply request, they can create the supply record. They can perform initiate the supply registration part. They can like initiate the supplier qualification, preferred supplier, and even like once they will like mark any supplier as the preferred supplier. And if they would like to evaluate the supplier, like might be due to some reason like whatever that supply product that's something they received from the supplier, that something is not up to the mark and they would like to re-evaluate the supplier. That's something those activity the customer they can do with the help of the supplier solution. Okay, this is something sourcing solution. So with the help of sourcing solution, that customer they can initiate that in supplier negotiation part, they can create different type of event based upon the need, and they can conduct that like the bidding process with the supplier just to find out the supplier based upon the different criteria. All right. Next something this is contract. So basically contract is offering like just to sign up a like that contract. So based upon the discussion with the supplier, whatever the information that's something like the supplier is agree. So they have to include in the document and they have to sign up a contract. So contract management is offering that the solutions to the customer. So just to sign up a legal agreement with the different parameter. So they can include some list of document. They can include that like a discussed price, discussed like a term and conditions. That's something customer they can include in the contract management. And basically, from the implementation point of view, so Ariba is also like offering the same implementation that sorry same approach. So like the SAP Activate methodology. So the same thing Ariba is also like using. So we have to use this Activate methodology to implement the SAP Ariba for the customer. So we will have the different step here to like perform the implementation. So like at the first we have to like basically like we have to initiate the confirm the requirement. So just I've added here a high level, but before that we have to also like discuss with our customer. We have to conduct some workshop to the customer, and we have to show them like like how the Ariba looks like and how like it will be helpful to the customer. So after conducting the workshop, we have to discuss with the customer and we have to collect all the requirement, and we have to prepare that our business requirement document. We have to prepare the different functional spec, and later based upon the business approval we have to initiate the designing phase. So in designing basically we are designing like step by step process and also discussing with the customer as well either they are happy with or not. So After that, we are building means that complete design of the system. So we have to initiate for the building, testing, and after like a testing, that means like that at high level we have to perform the unit testing, integration testing, user acceptance testing, and once everything will good, then we have to move to the go live. All right, so now let me quickly show you that Ariba system. So let me take a quick pause, and if any have any question, please raise your question.
So Vikram, here, as you said that any change we will have to contact SAP, the Ariba team. So that means we will have a very less control over the system, and basically the customization. Like we have the control in ECC, right? We can do coding, script, configuration, lot of other things. So configuration, I think, still can be done in Ariba. I believe you will show us. So there is no option of scripting as well, like coding in Ariba.
Yes, no, we do not have any option there.
So there is no coding, only configuration, and then probably playing around some templates, all those things, right?
Right. Yes, exactly right. So we'll not have any options to perform any coding or any scripting in the Ariba. So in case if we there's a requirement to perform any coding or scripting, we have to reach to the SAP Ariba team. But and that apart from this, like we can only do the configuration of what is available in the Ariba.
Okay, so how do I mean, based on your experience, let's say if you want to if you want to have a table sort of thing created, like a two-dimensional table with four, five fields. Okay,
Mhm.
so how difficult or how bad it is? How difficult it is, or
Okay,
it
so
is
basically
possible?
yeah, basically in the SAP Ariba, there is no concept of the table itself. Yes, we have the concept of the field, but table concept is not available. Even I'm also not sure, like either we have the table or not, because we'll never get a chance to see the table. So that's something Ariba has offered the different solutions. So let's take the example of the workflow, right? So generally
Hmm.
when we have to configure like customize any workflow in our SAP, so we have to create that some different custom table, right? And we have to write the script logic accordingly. So that something is simplified in the Ariba. So we do not, there is no need to create some table. There is no need to write some logic. We have to only like we are only responsible to perform that, like configuring this approval workflow. So we have to like include the different the conditions there. So we have the conditions option here in the Ariba, and with the help of the condition, we have to configure the workflow. So it anyhow like required to create some table in the sense like we require some like something some information just to store. So again same way we have to raise that like the enhancement request to the SAP Ariba, and they will perform in our site.
So the enhancements of extra creation of that field, custom fields and everything Ariba will do. And if there's any coding required for that, probably they will only put in place for us.
Yes, right. So
Okay.
like difficulties or like that any require any development is like flexible or like it's difficult. That's something Ariba team they're confirming when we are raising any request to them. So like it depends on them. If that is feasible, definitely they are doing. Otherwise, they are saying like this is not feasible. We cannot do like this development to the.
Okay, and so probably this thing like extra field creation or table, which support which we ask from SAP Ariba. So usually that is a chargeable based on your experience, or it just comes with the product. Just outside
So,
information.
basically, for like post go live support. So just like as a post go live support, like for certain period it's free of cost, but yes, if later be required, it's chargeable.
Okay. And last question is that, see, in our usually, let's say in our company, we have a three system architecture: development, quality, and production. So how does the Ariba go?
Mhm.
Because usually I have seen web-based applications, they prefer going with only two system, not three. So what is the common offering, common practice in Ariba?
Okay, basically from Ariba side, there is no common offering, so that it depends on the customer. So even they are agreed to pay, like if you want the development server as well for the Ariba, they will pay. But as common, you will see only two server, that is quality server and the production server, quality side and production side. Okay, but
Oh,
even some of the big client, big they have the different site as well. So they have like that three or four site as well. So as same to like our SAP, they just subscribe the different that system just to perform their testing, some development or some whatever. That depends. But common you will see only test and production side.
Okay, okay. And okay, last question from me is that how, see, now our SAP system with the help of PI is capable of connecting to many other systems as well. Okay,
Mhm.
so what by this what I mean, like any third party ERPs like Oracle or Dassault systems. Okay,
Mhm.
so how flexible is Ariba connecting to the third party systems for the data or anything?
Yeah. So that's what I said earlier. That Ariba is completely flexible to integrate. So even if you have SAP or non-SAP, whatever, any third-party applications you have, and if you want to integrate, that Ariba is completely flexible to integrate. But
But
nowadays, that integration mechanism. Mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, my question was that,
Okay.
see, now let's say if we are integrating a third party, let's say we have an Oracle system integrating with our ERP, okay, in current system. Now, so with Oracle integrating with a indirect procurement solution, okay, system. So now in that case, we have to host the data what they send somewhere. So right now we use a custom table in which we host the data and then we validate because of the
Mhm.
industry solution we have. So now, as you're saying that going forward in Ariba, the custom table or custom field is purely on the support of SAP Ariba, and we have a limitation. So that's why I
Mhm.
asked you, like, if so integrating is not the only thing. Like if you just connect Oracle to our Ariba, is not going to help us. You will have to probably host the data also somewhere.
Right. Okay. So that integration is like already in place, like in your organization, like this Oracle with something different system.
Yes,
Just I'm
Oracle to Oracle to our SAP box via PI.
Oh, PIP, right. So yes,
Yes.
so that's what I was trying to say you. See, whenever we have to use, so basically this is not something the requirement of the Oracle system. Like you have to store that like host in the box itself, in the table label itself. There's something those things like that is the integration like a mechanism will take care. Okay, I'm not pretty much aware about this Oracle product. Okay, just I'm
Okay, okay. I understand.
just but thing is that that whenever that we have to integrate either with SAP or non-SAP system, so it depends on that integration mechanism, integration tool, what you are going to use. So as of now, you are using PIPO. That is why you have to perform this activity. But in case if you
No,
move,
we will be using CIG when it comes to Ariba. So we have not started on that yet. Okay, we are yet to get Ariba. Probably we're looking for the options. So
Mhm.
Ariba, probably if we go with Ariba, we will be going ahead with CIG most probably. SAP is offering based on CPI.
Right, yes, you are right. So that's what I was supposed to tell you like yes. So nowadays like if you want to go with the CIG, you can go with the CIG. CIG very simplified integration tool as well, and we have lots of flexibility in the CIG. So in case of SAP, you can go with the CIG. Otherwise, if you have to integrate with the non-SAP, you have to go with the ITK.
To go with?
ITK integration toolkit.
Okay, got it. Okay, so Vikram, thank you for answering the questions here. You can proceed. I am able to see the Ariba UI.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. All right, so just like I logged in this Ariba system. So like this Ariba system looks like. So here we have the different tabs here. So we can see like home tab, catalog tab, supplier management tab. So like that we have different tab here. So basically this tab is representing that particular solutions to the customer. So whatever that particular solution that customer they subscribe, that's something in that something the tab will represent. So for example, we can see contract tab here. So contract option will only be available like in case if the customer they subscribe for this contract solution. Otherwise, this contract tab will not be available. So apart from this tab, we have other information as well. So like we can see here that we have search bar option. That means we can simply like search any relevant product just to relevant like information like what we would like to see. And in downside we have different tiles here. So this tiles is representing that some particular information relevant to the user, and user is totally free. So Ariba is providing some predefined list of this tile. So whatever the information that the customer or user they would like to see in this style, they can select and they can see. Apart from that, we have some other like information as well. Like here we can see some common action like create, manage, and recently built. That's something customer can utilize just to proceed with the activity, or if they have some different like that information they would like to see in this dashboard, so they are free, they can add. So for example, we can see calendar, we can see this event status. So like this, they can add this information. So basically, if you see here in the create menu, so create menu basically is offering to perform all the creation activity about all the transactional data or like a master data. So not all the master data, because for master data we'll have the dependency to the backend SAP system. So we can only create supplier in the form of the master data, and apart from that, that from for all the transaction data we have to create from the create menu itself. And management basically it is handling this configuration part. So whatever configuration, that's something we have to do, with the help of the manage menu. All right. So overall, like this SAP Ariba screen looks like. So might be someone is already aware about this screen. So just I shown you just as a quick glimpse.
Vikram, the system that you're logged in right now, this is the Ariba Network. So are you logged in as what, a buyer or supplier or as a manager? Or how are you logged into this
This is not the Ariba network. This is the Ariba solutions. Ariba like
solution?
Ariba product. Yes.
Okay.
Ariba is a different URL itself. So wherever you will see this, this is basically called as a spend management. So wherever you will you will log in. So you will see in the URL if you have the Ariba sourcing or you will have the buyer. Buyer, that means you have to understand those are the Ariba solutions URL. In case of the
O-
Ariba network, you will not have the sourcing or buyer in the URL.
Okay. So if IT has to log in to do any maintenance or make any update to template or change any values and conditions, where would they log in? Same in this platform that you logged into now?
Yes. Same in this
Okay.
Ariba solution platform. So basically, Ariba from buyer side, Ariba network is providing very basic very limited options to buyer. So from buyer side, we can only see some of the information like whatever that information, that inbound information, outbound information, and some basic configuration like default transaction rule. So like that, we can perform only on the Ariba network from the buyer side. Apart from that, always we have to work on the solutions itself.
Got you. Okay. Thank you.
All right. All right, so that's it from my side. And if anyone have any another question, please raise your question.
So Vikram, I'm just gonna ask a couple more quick questions based on what Ankit was describing earlier. So, for
Mhm.
example, if we're gonna create a contract, right? In contract, we use extensive clauses, and if the library of the clauses library is in ECC at this point, since we have a limitation on what we can house in Ariba because of this will require additional creation of tables or to maintain those clauses library
Mhm.
in this situation, what can we do? Can we create an RFC call and get it from ECC and bring it back to Ariba so we can so every time when we send out a RFX or RFP to the supplier, we must have those clauses. So what would you recommend at this point? Go for custom development with Ariba, or is it something we can create a bridge between Ariba and ECC and then extract those clauses and then put them into our contracts or RFPs and RFX and then send it to supplier?
Okay,
Sorry,
I
I
got your
kind of
question.
blubbered out. Let me know if you understood the question.
Yeah, I got your question. So basically, your requirement is that like you want to send some clauses to the supplier, even though like while inviting the supplier to your sourcing activity or while sending the creating the contract, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so basically for this Ariba has given the solution. So in the Ariba we have this like a sourcing library. So whatever the different clauses, whatever the different information, that's something you would like to store in the Ariba, we have the flexibility, we can store. So for example, let's say you are creating a contract and in the contract you have around 100 or 1,000 of the clauses. That's something you have to include in your like a contract. So in that case, if we have the provision, we can simply prepare the documents and that we have to include in that like Word document, and the documents we can simply either save in that our sourcing library. Sourcing library basically it is a place where we can place the different like documents. So for our our further uses, or we can add in the template level as well. That's something we can do here. Even
So here's the
if this
thing. So our library is actually in ECC. That's the source of record. So in order to, then we'll have to do dual maintenance. We'll have to, maintain it in Ariba as well. So that's the key thing. Not maintaining both systems, just maintain it in ECC and then leverage it
Mhm.
from ECC. Is any option there, or
Okay, that's
you
something in
got
that
my
case
question right?
yes, yes, yes. So in that case, we have to look in some like our integration tool, integration like a test point, how we can pull those information from the ECC to Ariba.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
no problem.